Hello and welcome to Stitched from my stash. My name is Julie and I'm coming to you from just north of Glasgow in the UK, and my vlog is about sewing, knitting, patchwork and quilting, sometimes crochet. And the idea behind my vlog is to motivate me to use as much of my stash as possible. And I am getting through it. I do occasionally buy, excuse me, some bits and bobs, but so far I am getting through it. Thank you so much for joining me. It's good to have your company, and it's good for me to be here, a nice positive space for me on today, which is a Monday morning. So I'm going to start just by talking about what I'm wearing. I think I've worn this one before on the vlog. We are getting into winter wear now, which I'll talk a bit more about later on. And this is one I made, oh blimey, a while ago, a few years, let's say 2-3 years ago. And it's this pattern, and it's this version, and it has a tie at the back. I have done a little video which I'll add somewhere in a photograph. It has a tie at the back and little buttons on the ends of the cuffs. And what else? It's raglan shaped here, so it's raglan sleeves, which I think suit me because I'm narrow shouldered. I've said that before. And it has a lot of ruching here, which isn't my favorite thing to do, but I can't remember if I've made another one of these. I did, and I didn't like the colour, so I undid it and made something else out of it. But I quite like this colour on me. So it does have some ruching here. The fabric is a brushed cotton, I should think. So it's a little bit thicker. So getting more into autumn, winter type wear. It's very comfy. I tend to tuck things in, but it's long enough to have it out as well. I wouldn't mind making another, and I think I would persevere with the ruching, take my time. And I do have some more brushed cotton, I think, which is a checkish pattern. And I did buy it to make some pajama bottoms. So we'll see. I bought it a few years ago. We'll see if I do fancy making another one of these, because they are quite cozy with the brushed cotton. So that's what I'm wearing on the top. Somebody asked about beads. I would like to make more necklaces. A friend bought me this for a birthday, I think, a few years ago. And it's nice. It's quite bright and chunky. But I would like to have a go at making more necklaces. I have made one or two, and I've got the supplies, but I'm a bit unsure about the joining, I don't know, what do they call them? The findings? Anyway, I digress. The trousers, again, I've wore these before. Eve trousers by Merchant and Mills. Both of these fabrics came from Abercarn in Rhyl in North Wales when we were living near there. And both, excuse me, have been washed and worn, and the fabrics are fab. But it is getting to that winter type of clothing now, isn't it? I think that's it about what I'm wearing. So I'm going to now talk about what I've been working on and my plans. I've been working this week on this quilt, which again I've taken a video of, and it's finished. It's for our youngest son. One of his friends is getting married, and this friend is a sort of family friend. As I said, I'm not going to the wedding, but I thought I'd make a quilt as a gift. It's a throw. It's not a large bed size quilt. And where have I put the measurements? I'm just going to reach over and get the pattern. I followed this pattern. So the finished size is 45.5 inches by 54.5 inches. So it's quite a nice size. All fabrics that I had in my stash, and I quilted it. It's odd, it's not looking red on there. This is red thread and just with a cross hatch pattern on my machine using a walking foot, and my machine behaved, and I'm quite pleased with the stitch. I think I turned the tension down a little bit, but the stitch seems fine. So this on top is a quilting thread, which is, I think, a little bit thicker. And then in the bobbin, I just used sew all thread, because I think the quilting thread in the bobbin on my machine, just an ordinary domestic machine, is a little bit too thick and it doesn't run through very well. The backing was something I bought last year, I think, in a charity shop, I think in Cambridge, when I was visiting a friend. I don't think is quite quilting cotton weight. It's a bit thicker, but it suits fine on here. And I also used the same for the binding. So I sew the binding this side by hand and then iron it over. Sorry. I sew this side by machine. I'm not thinking. And then this side, turn it over, press it and sew by hand. So I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. It's a nice size. And as I said, it's a throw for, I don't know, a settee or whatever. I don't know what the colour scheme is, but it's a scrap quilt and that's fine. So I am going to make a label, but not done that yet. And then I'll sew the label on the back with just a little message. And then that can be put away. Not sure when the wedding is. Sometime next year. So that can be put away, ready to pass on. So the pattern is one I downloaded from American Patchwork and Quilting. I will write the details in the description. And I used a lot of squares that I'd already cut out. And the black, again, I had, and I washed it through. So I think that's very effective. And it's another quilt made, and a little bit of fabric gone from my stash, but there is plenty more. So I'm pleased with that, and it's finished nice and early and it can be put away. So I think that's that on the quilt. What else have I worked on? I'm just going to lean down a little bit. On my Entrelac knitting blanket, baby blanket, which I think I've done another row and started this row. So it's going to be really jazzy, funky colours. And this, in this basket, is my double knit acrylic yarns. So these are the yarns I'm aiming to use up for this blanket. It is quite wide, and I think I'm looking, it's on it, I'm starting a new row, so it's on a circular, so I can't really hold it out. But I think I'm looking at this as a long-term project. It isn't for any particular baby that's coming. In fact, I may just keep it and have it as a blanket to snuggle under in the lounge. Not sure yet. So it's going to be one that I pick up and try and do a row or, you know, a section every week using these balls of yarn. There should be enough. The pattern is, I think it was a free download here. Again, I'll put the info on the bottom. So I'm not going to rush through this. It does have enough interest to keep you going, but it isn't complicated. And I thought it would be, but as it is fairly straightforward, I still need to refer to the pattern for when you're changing the blocks. But it feels quite nice. It's just acrylic, but it does feel a nice cozy blanket. So I've been working on that. So I'm just going to put that back on the floor. I've also been working on, but not so much because I was working on the big quilt, the throw, no, it's not a throw, it's a little wall hanging out of pink appliqued hearts. And I have now done the 5, is it 5 or 6? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 5 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So I've done the 5. It's quite difficult to hold up, but I've not sewn them on the machine yet. The applique is by hand, and I've enjoyed doing that. So these are all from scraps that I've had, and you can see I'm a pink fan. So that it is going to be pretty. Not sure if the book is to hand where I've had the pattern from. It's going to be a little wall hanging. I think is about 20 inches by 20 inches. So I have done a bit on it, but not sewn the squares together. So I've been working on that. So that can go to one side. I normally tick off what I've done, what I've talked about, but am I going to find the pencil? Yes. Right, so I've talked about that. So then last week I started 2 new projects, and the first new project that I started was the lunar Lapin bunny. Now I've used some felt that I had, and I'm just going to, excuse me, I'm just going to reach some projects. I made these mice sometime earlier in the year, and I bought the pattern and the felt from the Glasgow stitch show, not this year, but last year, but I only made them this year, and they are cute. I'm really pleased with these. And the pattern was from a company called House of Zandra, I think. I'll put it on the bottom. So I did have some felt left from these, but not enough of all one colour. So what I've done I've made the head, but I've used some darker felt rather than the brown because I didn't have enough. The Liberty fabric I bought over 30 years ago when we were living in Derbyshire, in a shop in Ripley that just had a bag of like patches already cut out. So I chip away at those fabrics. They are sort of, I don't know, 5-inch squares, even if it's that 4.5-inch squares. So I do have some of that left. So I did the inside of the ears out of that, and then you put some interfacing on to stiffen the ears. So I've done the head, I've done the legs. Now it did say, I've never made these before, it did say the legs are the most firmly stuffed of the body parts. So I have really firmly stuffed those. So I've done the head and the legs. The pattern comes in the back of the book. So I traced the body pieces. If we can get to Lunar Lapin, I traced the body pieces and made my own copies here. And I've had to do the body in white. And then I had enough for the arms in the brown felt. The bottom of the feet are the same as the ears, the same little pretty fabric. So I've really enjoyed working on that. It's hand sewn mainly, so it's just overstitched there. And I did find, I've got lots of thread, I did find this colour thread which totally matches the felt. So I was pleased with that. And my plan is to make Lunar Lapin and the clothes. It's the clothes that were enticing me particularly. And make the clothes for our granddaughter and make it as a pack for Christmas. I have lots of, not necessarily quilt weight fabric, but offcuts of things I've made. And I'm really looking forward to making the little outfits for the bunny, including shoes, and I've got other bits of coloured felt that I could be using for those. But there's all sorts in here. A little coat. There's even a little armchair, if I can find that. So a little armchair. And Lunar Lapin should end up looking like that, but mine's going to have a white body because I didn't have enough felt. We're going to be out and about end of the week, so I may buy some more of the coloured felt to make one for myself because I think they're cute. There is a little Alfie, if I can find him, and Alfie has his own outfit. I think he's called Alfie. Yeah, Alfie. So who knows? I might make Alfie as well. But that's going to scratch the itch I've had to make some little clothes. I've tried creating patterns for dolls myself, and I'm not very good at making self-drafting patterns. So that's going to be something I'm going to look forward to. And of course they're small, so they're hopefully not going to take too long. So I started that this week, which I'm enjoying. So they're already cut out. And what else? I started, excuse me, still got slight remnants of the cold cough. I also started a knitting project. And this knitting project, last week, it did go colder up here. It's quite nice today. It's a bit overcast, but not raining. But last week got cold, and the house we live in is an old drafty house. We try our best to draft proof and insulate, etc. So I need some warm things to wear. So I scoured, I think it was Saturday morning, can't remember, one morning I scoured Ravelry for a pattern that matched up to my needs. I want a polo neck, and to the yarn that I have. So the yarn that I have isn't loads. It's this, it isn't as yellowy brown as that, but it does have yellow tones in it, which isn't great for me, but it's what I've got. So it's a chunky, it's got, I don't know, about 15% wool in it. And somebody gave me 2 big balls of this a few years ago, 2 big balls of this. And I also have some contrasting colours in some other chunkies. Now I've picked this one out, but I do have a few more. So my aim is to make this pattern totally tubular turtleneck, which was, it's an American pattern. It turned out £7 UK as a download off Ravelry. Very popular. There's lots of projects on Ravelry, and I'm going to try and work, say, you knit the back, then you knit join the front at the top of the shoulders, and then you join in the round here. So I'm going to try and go as far as there with this, I don't know, olive green colour, and then I'm going to knit the polo neck in the same colour, so that I know then how much I have left for the bottom and how many different contrast colours I need to add to finish it off. So I'm hoping it's going to be nice, because that's going to be a good garment for colder weather. My aim is I may make a little undervest or some little short sleeve t-shirts and wear it with a cardigan. So I started that. I'm pleased with it. It's quite an interesting pattern for me anyway. It does say suitable for beginners. I'm not a beginner, but I haven't done loads of different patterns. And there's a lot of shaping for the top. So it's this way. So that's all I've done so far. That's the back. So there's a lot of shaping here with German short rows, which I had to look up, and I found I'll write it on here, a really good video, Blue Mouse Knits. I'll write that at the bottom. She gave a really straightforward tutorial. I have done German short rows before, but I need a recap. I ain't that intelligent. Anyway, so that's the back shoulders, and I'm now on knitting this, I think 5.5 inches, and then there's some more shaping for the back, and then you put this on a stitch holder and join the front here and do all the shaping for the front. So it's quite an interesting knit. I am keeping track because there's a lot for me to take in, but I'm enjoying it. It's on, these are 6.5 needles, and the only one I could find was 100 centimeters, so it's quite long. I do have a pack for an 80 centimeter one in my drawer. All my knitting needles are in here, but the pack is empty, and I don't know where that needle's gone. So I have treated myself to some chai gu needles, which will arrive later on in the week, and I'll transfer the knitting to the 80 centimetre one, I think, because I think that's going to be a bit dangly. So it's chunky 6.5 needles for the main body, and then you go to 5.5 millimetre when you do the polar neck. And as I said, I'm going to try and do the polar neck or the roll neck, whatever, once I've joined here, so I can add some different colours at the bottom. Right, anything else to say on that? I'll put the details. I don't know what I was thinking. I was looking at this and I was thinking, how do you join that in the round? It didn't click. That is the back, and you join in the round later on. I don't know what I was thinking. But luckily, on Ravelry, as I said, it's quite a popular pattern. Somebody had put photos of her progress, and she'd put a photo just like that. And I thought, oh, yeah, the penny dropped. That's the back. You know, and then you join later on. I was just having, do they call them senior moments? So I'm pleased with that. And they should knit up quite quickly. I feel I am getting better at knitting, and it's a case of persevering, isn't it? You can always undo it. I generally don't mind undoing knitting, but it is a case of persevering and learning, which is great. And they're going to be the armholes, so there's no picking up of the armholes. They're going to be the armholes, so it's like a slip over with a turtleneck. So I'm really pleased with that. And my plans for the week then, I'm going to try and work on Lunar Lapin, carry on with the cowl knitting, pick up the Entrelac knitting. I'm looking because it's on the floor. And then I have another thing I'm going to try and do, and I might have to try and do this afternoon because we're quite busy the rest of the week, is I'm going to try and dye, I'm going to rustle for a minute, this Aran yarn. I've bought a dye-lon, which on the website of Dunelm, a UK store for, what does it sell? Bits of furniture, fabrics, towels. It's a nice shop. When I looked this up, it said you can use it on wool. But then when I went in to buy it in the shop, it says not suitable for wool. I bought it anyway. It'll be an experiment. This Aran wool was given to me as a man's jumper, and it was huge. So I undid it and I knitted, I can't remember the name of the cardigan now. I knitted this cardigan. I can't remember what it's called. I'll write it below, I'll look it up. And I don't like it on me. I think I knitted this before I went to the colour, do your colour evening. And I'm quite yellow toned, so I don't like this on me, this cream. So I will either, if the dyeing works, I'll either buy another pack and dye this a different colour as an experiment, or I'll undo this and knit something else. But I'm hoping to get some more polar neck type things, and there's loads of this. I find this quite baggy. Doesn't look nice. So I bought the dye-lon, and like I said, I'm not one for detail, and I'm perhaps a bit of a numpty. So speaking to Andrew, obviously, no, it's not obvious because it wasn't obvious to me. Cotton, which is easily dyed, is cellulose, plant fibre. Wool is protein, which is animal fibre. So they need different processes. I have looked online, there's some acid dyes. RIT, I think, says suitable. But again, I didn't look in detail. But I wanted to buy this yesterday, didn't I? So I bought yesterday in Dunelm, near Glasgow, in Paisley. So we'll see. If it doesn't work, the yarn was free. I can do something with it. I could look into buying some specific wool yarn, in one wool dye. Interestingly, when I was at the weave course a couple of weeks ago, the tutor, she was saying that so-called natural dyes use, I think it's called a mordant, which is quite harsh. So she thinks you might as well use commercial dyes. That's her opinion. I know not much about dyeing. So I thought that was quite interesting. So we'll see. I might try that this afternoon. It's hand hot, I think, and you have to stir for 45 minutes. But we are going for COVID jabs this afternoon, so whether or not I can stir for 45 minutes, we'll see. So that's my plans for this week. Watch this space, see how that goes. And I think that's it for now. So thank you so much for keeping me company with my crafting. Hope you're doing some nice crafts too. Definitely makes me feel more positive doing some crafting. And hopefully see you next week. Have a good week. See you soon. Bye for now.